Something Queer in the Cafeteria by Elizabeth Levy, illustrated by Mordicai Gerstein. And I think this is the third Something Queer book, maybe fourth, that I've read. Gwen looked down at the soggy pizza on her tray. The new cafeteria at the Evergreen Avenue School was supposed to have opened in the fall. It had finally opened today. It was the first day of March. The pizza looked like it had been cooked in September. "May I have a crisp piece?" asked Gwen. This is Gwen, and that's Jill. Close-up of the pizza. Pepperoni, shriveled. Cheese, rubbery. Sauce, watery. Crust, soggy. "Now," snapped Miss Claudia Linsky, the woman in charge of the cafeteria. Good old MCL, muttered Jill. Miss Linsky hadn't changed during the renovation. She wore the same clunky black shoes with square heels. Her uniform looked as scratchy and uncomfortable as ever. Little tufts of hair still stuck out around her white cap, and she was definitely as mean as ever. Gwen and Jill called her MCL, a.k.a. Mean Cafeteria Lady. Note, a.k.a. means also known as. Close-up of MCL's clunky shoes. "Gwen, here's a mystery for you," said Jill as they sat down at the table. "How come the food in the new cafeteria is worse than in the old one?" Everybody knew that Gwen loved mysteries. She always tapped her braces whenever something queer was going on. Jill held up her pizza. It drooped as badly as her dog Fletcher's big stomach. This is a close-up of Fletcher's big stomach. Miss Linsky walked by as Jill's tomato sauce dripped on the table. "Jill, you're making a mess," snapped Miss Linsky. She reached over to wipe off the table and knocked over Riza's milk with her elbow. This is Riza. Miss Linsky put her hands on her hip. "Riza, you spilled milk all over our brand new cafeteria." Riza bit her lower lip. "Hey," said Gwen, "Riza didn't spill her milk. You did." Miss Linsky spun around towards Jill. A blob of tomato sauce on Miss Linsky's towel spattered on Natin. He dropped his spoon on his plate, and a glob of mashed potatoes flew onto Emma. She aimed a pea in Clifton's direction, missed him, and hit Sean Trace. "Foo-fi!" yelled Sean Trace. Mashed potatoes and soggy pizza flew in all directions. This is Natan, this is Emma, this is Clifton, and this is Sean Trace. Miss Greeton, the principal, blew her whistle. "Who started this?" Miss Greeton. That's what Mrs. Greeton looks like. Miss Linsky pointed her finger at Gwen and Jill. Gwen blinked. "Not us," she said. "We will have no food fights here, especially not in the new cafeteria," said Miss Greeton. "I want both of you to stay after school and help clean up this mess." "Yes, ma'am," muttered Jill, who had never had to stay after school before. Jill hated being in trouble. Mr. Liu, Gwen and Jill's homeroom teacher, was very upset when he found out the two of his students had started a food fight. "Well, it's not like you," he said. "I was counting on your help decorating the cake for the cafeteria's official grand opening party. It was for the mayor and the school board. All your families will be invited." "What about Fletcher?" asked Riza. "He's part of Jill's family. He's almost part of our class." Fletcher waited for Gwen and Jill outside the school every day. He was practically the class mascot. Mr. Liu smiled. He knew how much the class loved Fletcher. "Well, perhaps if Gwen and Jill stay out of trouble," said Mr. Liu. We will," promised Gwen and Jill. "We want to help decorate the cake," said Gwen. After school, Gwen and Jill went to the cafeteria to clean up. Miss Lewinsky, Well, Linsky, maybe I've been pronouncing that wrong, was talking to a man wearing jeans and cowboy boots. He smiled at Gwen and Jill. Miss Linsky frowned at them. "These girls are nothing but trouble," Miss Linsky said to the man. "Gwen and Jill, you can start by filling a bucket and washing the floor." "I think she's got us confused with Cinderella," Gwen muttered. "This is a mop wringer." Gwen tried to turn on the water. The knob wouldn't budge. She used her muscles. The knob came off. Water squirted all over her face. "Ah, yikes!" shouted Gwen. Miss Linsky whirled around. "Ah, look what you did now!" The man grabbed the knob and stuck it back on. No harm done," he said. "Well, it just came off," said Gwen. Jill handed her a towel. "By itself?" asked Miss Linsky sarcastically. When Gwen and Jill finished cleaning, they went outside. Fletcher was waiting with a red bandana around his collar. His nose barely showed through the snowdrifts. Everyone was sick of the snow, but Fletcher... everyone was sick of the snow, but Fletcher. It reminded him of whipped cream. That's Fletcher. This is his tail wagging. Jill hugged him. "We've had the worst day," she said. Fletcher licked her face. "Well, at least you got an invitation to our party next week," Gwen told Fletcher. "Our class is decorating the cake. Don't eat anything else. The cafeteria food stinks." Fletcher licked Gwen's face, too. The next morning, after math class, Mr. Liu showed them his design for a cake in the shape of the cafeteria. This is the design of the cafeteria cake. There's marzipan fruit and food, marshmallow counters, marshmallow tables, wafer cookie benches, licorice string for food lines, pink, white icing on the floor. "We'll go down to the cafeteria to practice decorating the cake," said Mr. Liu. "We want it to be perfect for next week." As they walked down the hall, terrible stinking smells wafted out of the cafeteria. "P.U.," said Lewis, holding his nose. Even Mr. Liu wrinkled his nose. As they walked into the kitchen, Miss Linsky pulled something black and crispy from under the broiler. "Ah, they're shriveling up," she yelled to the same man who had been there the day before. "Oh, you must have overcooked the tofu," said the man. "Oh, yuck," said Gwen. "Tofu dogs." "You see, the children don't even like tofu dogs," he said. Tofu is a custardy, high-protein food made from soybeans. It can be used as meat or cheese substitutes, and even eaten sweetened as a dessert. It is especially popular in Asia, where it originated. And these are cakes of tofu, and these are soybeans. "I brought my class to practice decorating cake for the official grand opening party," said Mr. Liu. The man in the cowboy boots extended his hand to Mr. Liu. "I'm Charles Peacock," he said. "My company was in charge of the cafeteria construction. I'm here to make sure that the equipment is being used properly." The class took turns mixing the sugar and butter for the frosting. When it was Gwen's turn, she rolled up her sleeves. Suddenly, the counter creaked, the bowl started slipping and sliding, the counter collapsed with a great crash. Gwen ended up with frosting all over her. Mr. Liu reached Gwen first. "What happened?" Gwen's eyes were wide. "The counter fell," she said. "Just fell," squawked Miss Linsky. "I bet you kids were sitting on it. As if I didn't have enough problems. The tofu dogs crumble. The pizza droops. Now my counters are falling down." "Wait a pokey minute," drawled Mr. Peacock. "You know how kids can be. It's not this little girl's fault. It was just an accident." That's Mr. Peacock. An accident or sabotage," growled Miss Linsky. "Out, out." Even Mr. Liu was no match for Miss Linsky on the warpath. Gwen. Why don't you go wash up, he suggested. Jill went into the bathroom with Gwen, and Gwen started to tap her braces. Instead of tap, 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 it came out squish, squish, squish. Her braces were full of frosting. There's something definitely... there's definitely something queer going on. Sorry about that. Squish, 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 squish. We get in trouble every time we walk into the cafeteria. Maybe it's jinxed, said Jill. Yeah, or haunted by MCL, said Gwen. It can't get worse, said Jill. Wanna bet? Said Gwen. That day at lunch, there was nothing but peanut butter and mayonnaise sandwiches. Oh, it has gotten worse, admitted Jill. Peanut butter and mayonnaise should be against the law. I like peanut butter and mayonnaise, said George. After Gwen's accident in the kitchen, everything I cooked was ruined and the tofu dogs have disappeared, snapped Miss Linsky. Peanut butter and mayonnaise is all I have left. There's Jell-O for dessert. The Jell-O is runny, said Riza, staring down at her tray. Where's it running? Asked Clifton. Well, anywhere but my stomach, said Gwen. And this is a close-up of peanut butter and mayonnaise. Yuck. Oh. The cafeteria pantry stocked with industrial-sized peanut butter and mayo. Gwen's Jell-O wobbled right off her tray. Don't even think about starting another food fight, yelled Miss Linsky. It fell off my plate, protested Gwen. It just wobbled by itself, said Miss Linsky. And the knob just came off and the counter just collapsed. I know you're the troublemaker here. You're probably the one who took the tofu dogs. Gwen glared at her. Well, I wouldn't touch a tofu dog, said Gwen, even if it was the last food on earth. This is a close-up of Gwen's sneaker. The Jell-O landed on it. What's going on, Miss Linsky? Asked Miss Greeton. These two pranksters tried to start another food fight, and I think they stole the tofu dogs. I heard Gwen say tofu dogs were yucky, said Miss Linsky. Wait 1 minute, argued Jill. Gwen is not a thief. Gwen and Jill, I warned you, said Miss Creighton. I'll look into these pranks, but I still don't like rude remarks about the food. I want you to stay after school and write a letter of apology to Miss Linsky. Gwen and Jill went to the detention hall after school. Gwen scribbled, Dear Cafeteria Lady from the Black Lagoon, on a piece of paper. She showed it to Jill, who giggled. No laughing in detention, said Mrs. Greeton. Gwen sighed. She crumpled up her paper. Gwen and Jill both wrote letters saying they were very sorry to Miss Linsky. They didn't mean it. Where's Fletcher? Asked Jill when they finally got out. Do you think he got tired of waiting and went home? This is a close-up of the band. Oh, there he is, said Gwen. A tiny flap of red bandana was sticking out of a snowdrift. Snow was flying in all directions. Well, what's Fletcher doing? Asked Jill. He never digs so fast. Unless there's food. This is a close-up of a bandana. Fletcher lifted his head. He had something in his mouth. He made a face and spit it out. Bleh. Tofu dog. A tofu dog, said Gwen. Fletcher washed his mouth out with snow. The very thought of tofu dogs was just too much. Jill stared at the snowdrift. There are hundreds of tofu dogs buried out here. Gwen tapped her braces. Look, she said excitedly, pointing at us to a square heel print in the snow. That heel is from the ugliest shoe in the world, Miss Linsky's shoe. We can prove we didn't do it. She dumped the tofu dogs out here herself and wanted to blame us. She's the meanest cafeteria lady on the planet. In the solar system, said Jill. In the galaxy, said Gwen. In the universe, said Jill. Well, and now she's in trouble, said Gwen, rubbing her hands together. Tap, 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 tap. The solar system with planet MCL. There she is. Fletcher was so happy that he rolled over in the snow, right on top of the footprints. Fletcher's destroying the evidence, cried Jill. How will we prove we didn't do it now? The footprints are all smushed up. Gwen stared down at the smoothed out snow. She raised her eyes up to the sky. I don't know how we'll prove Miss Linsky did it, she said quietly. But as Fletcher is my witness, we'll never eat tofu dogs again. On the day of the official party, Gwen and Jill put on their best party dresses. Jill wore a red dress that matched her hair. She even got Fletcher a brand new bandana and wrote his name on it with fabric paint. Gwen wore purple, her favorite color. The orthodontist even changed her braces to purple. Mr. Liu was pleased that they had gotten dressed up. I've got aprons for everybody, he said as he took the class to the kitchen to put the final touches on the cake. Miss Linsky's hair was sticking out of her cap. I just know something will go wrong today with those two in the kitchen, she said, looking at Gwen and Jill. And I'll be blamed. Oh, we won't let her blame us again, Gwen whispered to Jill. Let's get to work, girls and boys, said Mr. Liu. He showed them the huge sheet cake he had baked in the shape of the cafeteria. He handed hairnets to all the kids with long hair, even Clifton. We don't want any stray hairs in our frosting, said Mr. Liu. Gwen and Jill went to work untangling the shoestring licorice. This is going to be the most excellent cake in the world, said Riza.
Wait until we get the marshmallows on, said Clifton. It'll look perfect.
When the frosting was all spread out and the marshmallows placed just so, Mr. Liu put the cake in the oven to brown the top of the marshmallows. This is Clifton. There's Mr. Peacock, said Jill. He's talking to my mom and Fletcher. Mr. Peacock was wearing a big cowboy hat and a bandana. He's nice, said Gwen. He defended us against MCL. Oh, there's the mayor, said Louis. She's about to make her speech, said Mr. Liu. We should all be in there. In the middle of the mayor's speech, Gwen sniffed. Oh, I smell something burning, she said. With Fletcher in the lead, the whole class rushed back into the kitchen. Black smoke poured out of the oven. Mr. Peacock was spraying a fire extinguisher into it. The flames sputtered and died. Mr. Peacock pulled the cake out and dropped it on the floor.
This cake is too hot to handle,
he said. It was covered with foam. The marshmallow tables were as black as Fletcher's nose. Gross, said George. Here's the melted marzipan and marshmallow tables and Fletcher's nose. Mr. Liu stared at the mess. The marshmallows shouldn't have burned. I put the cake in the middle rack and the oven was only at 250 degrees. Mr. Peacock turned toward Gwen and Jill with a disappointed look.
Miss Linsky has been complaining about sabotage, but I didn't believe her. Somebody deliberately ruined that cake. What's that in the oven?
He pulled out a foamy, burned bandana.
I think this is a clue.
Gwen stared at him. She was the one who usually found clues. Miss Linsky looked at Fletcher. Jill's dog was wearing a bandana the last time I saw him. Gwen and Jill did it again. Everybody stared at Gwen and Jill. Gwen and Jill looked at Fletcher. His bandana was missing.
Well, I think I'd better talk to the principal,
said Mr. Peacock. As he walked out, he slipped on the gooey cake frosting. He almost fell down, but he held on to the red bandana and left a sticky trail behind him. Tap, 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 tap. melted marshmallow.
Do something, Gwen, urged Jill. That was Fletcher's bandana. We're getting blamed again. This time we could get kicked out of school.
Gwen tapped her braces. She was stumped. Somehow, Miss Linsky burned the cake and planted Fletcher's bandana so we get blamed. So we'd be blamed, said Gwen. I just don't know how to prove it.
Think, demanded Jill.
Miss Linsky sat down and wept.
The party's ruined. Gwen and Jill, how can you do this? We'll never get another cent to fix all the things that are wrong in the new cafeteria. Mr. Peacock spent over $100,000 to build it and nothing works.
Why should things be wrong if they're brand new? Gwen asked.
Stop worrying about that and figure out how to prove Miss Linsky did it, whispered Jill.
I am, said Gwen, still tapping. Tap, 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 tap.
Why does she keep doing that?
Miss Linsky asked Jill.
It's very annoying.
Gwen's always taps her braces when she's detecting. She's a very good detective.
Gwen stared down at the cake on the floor.
I might have made a mistake, she said.
Tap, 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 tap.
What? What kind of mistake? Said Jill through her gritted teeth. We're about to be expelled.
Miss Linsky, said Gwen, there's something queer in the cafeteria and I need your help.
Me?
Asked Miss Linsky.
Why should I help you?
Well, because I'm going to prove Jill and I haven't been messing with your cafeteria, but you have to do me a favor. Step in the cake. Miss Linsky glared at her. Please, pleaded Gwen. I need your help to solve the mystery, and the mystery of why everything's gone wrong in the new cafeteria. Jill and I haven't done the things that we've gotten in trouble for, but somebody has. Please help us. Miss Linsky stood up and put her foot firmly in the ruined cake, and then she lifted it. Miss Linsky, I owe you an apology, said Gwen.
You already wrote me one,
said Miss Linsky. Yeah, but this time I mean it, said Gwen. Your heel print doesn't match the footprints we found outside in the snow with the tofu dogs. Gwen pointed to the heel print on the floor. But Mr. Peacock's boot print does. It was Mr. Peacock in the kitchen.
Mr. Peacock?
Exclaimed Mr. Liu. Gwen looked out at the lunchroom. Mr. Peacock was whispering in the principal's ear. Gwen narrowed her eyes. Let's wheel out the cake, said Gwen. It's time for the real culprit to be exposed.
What is she talking about?
Asked Miss Linsky.
I think she's about to cook Mr. Peacock's goose, said Jill.
Is this a joke? Asked the mayor. No, said Gwen. There was a fire in the oven because it doesn't work right. Nothing works right in the cafeteria. Excuse me, said Mr. Peacock. This girl is a troublemaker. I have proof these two deliberately burned this cake as a prank. Gwen and Jill were never in trouble before the new cafeteria opened, said Mrs. Greeton. Gwen stepped forward. Mr. Peacock knows that his counters fall down, his faucet knobs fall off, and the refrigerator can't even keep Jell-O cold. The oven burns everything, even tofu. That's why he hid the tofu dogs. They were proof that the oven doesn't work right. He didn't spend the money he was given on the cafeteria. Oh, this troublemaker will do anything to talk her way out of this, said Mr. Peacock. But I can prove those two deliberately ruined the cake. We found their dog's bandana in the oven. They used it as a pot holder to move the rack and burn the marshmallows. You found out Fletcher was Jill's dog from Jill's mom, said Gwen. Jill's mom nodded. He wanted to blame us, Gwen continued, so he kept the money he should have spent on the cafeteria. He was quick. I noticed he didn't have his bandana on after the cake burned. He planted it in the oven and took Fletcher's bandana when we were all looking at the ruined cake. Here it is. Gwen pulled the red bandana from Mr. Peacock's pocket. It had Fletcher's name on it. Mr. Peacock flipped a carrot stick at Gwen's face and started to run. Fletcher leapt and caught the carrot. He spit it out. Cottontails chew crunchy carrots, not Fletcher. Instead, Fletcher grabbed Mr. Peacock's pant leg and held on. This is the carrot stick. Boing, boing. A Fletcher cottontail chewing a crunchy carrot. Yum, 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 yum. The mare stood up to her full height. Mr. Peacock, I'll see you pay back every penny you pocketed instead of buying first-class equipment.
Thank you, Gwen,
said Mr. Linsky. Miss Linsky.
You really saved my day. How can I repay you?
No more tofu dogs, said Gwen and Jill in unison. Sorry.
To tell you the truth, I never liked them much myself,
said Miss Linsky. The whole class cheered, and Fletcher's tail wagged faster than ever. This is his tail wagging, whack, 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 and everybody's smiling. Good night. I love you.